Lord Ravagers are the vanguards of destruction. They are tasked with eliminating not planets, not galaxies, not universe, not aeons, but Path itself. Something which originated as a broader concept of imaginary tree, whom even aeons are bound to bow. But who would have ever thought that most of the Lord Ravagers are childish crybabies? We'll be talking about all the weaknesses of Lord Ravagers and how it might actually lead to their demise. The weaknesses are officially stated in the lore, so we're not making them up. During the dice roll Q&A, Asat Pramad reveals the hidden flaws of every Ravager. So we would only be talking about these statements in consideration along with their origins. So who exactly is Asat Pramad? He's one of the oldest Lord Ravager, older than even Nanook. Born as a normal kid, he always dreamed of helping those who are in need. He followed the aeon of fun and joy, the elation, as he believed that path of elation brings joy on face of others. But later, he ascended as a legendary mask fool en route, who had stolen a teeth of veracity, a figment of a real aeon. On top of that, he helped taking Emperor Rupert by creating Philosopher's Poison, a virus which affects the equation. Later on, he realized that Aha is dead, and Path of Elation is about chaos, not helping others. So he boarded the Astral Express and became a Nameless. He also served as a navigator of the Astral Express, who roamed the cosmos alongside Archfoger, the aeon of Trailblaze, to explore the cosmos and help those in needs. However, as per time, he realized something which broke him completely. The civilization they helped on the way turned out the same afterwards. He realized that humans are not worth helping and they cannot develop, as greed and lust make them repeat the same mistake again and again. On top of all this, he saw the aeon Archfoger leaving the express, which further threw him in darkness. Post all, he killed entire crew and became a Lord Ravager. As a Lord Ravager, he is tasked to destroy the Path of Elation, and because he is someone who works alongside other Lord Ravagers, he definitely is aware of their strength and weaknesses. So let's start with the first ever Lord Ravager we ever faced, Phantylia the Undying. Just like Asat, she is one of the oldest Emanators alive, older than Nanook. She comes from a species of Heliobes. They are an ancient energy-based parasitic species native to the cosmos, also known as the Shapeless or Starfire Essence. They kinda look like floating wisps of colorful flame and lack any permanent physical body. There are also reasons like why they are always looking for a host. They are captured and used as a slave by Xianzhou is a different story which we're not gonna talk about. But Phantylia, as a great Heliobe, her control is on a different level. She hijacks and dominates the nerve system of her targets while keeping full access of host memories and mimicking their natural behavior at an extent that even close ones cannot spot a difference. As we see during the case with Tingyun, where the position was so close that no one was able to find Phantylia's disguise. Same way Phantylia manipulates civilization like Johann Liebert by whispering secrets to flame Silvar until the planet destroys itself. Now, understanding her power is simply to dominate and control hosts. The same actually just makes her weakness as well. Asat Pramad told us that her greed for instant, total control makes her vulnerable, as she cannot handle unyielding human resolve. It means that Phantylia is incredibly arrogant, because she has successfully destroyed hundreds of planets by manipulating them from the shadows. She expects every mission to go exactly according to her plan. She wants absolute power over her victims, and she expects them to submit to despair immediately once she reveals herself. Because she used to victories through psychological warfare, she does not know how to handle a backup plan. When a civilization or a hero don't react the way she expects, her grand strategy falls apart. She becomes impatient, sloppy, and prone of making massive tactical mistakes. We saw this during Phantylia's clash against Jingyuan. She was far stronger than the crew and Jingyuan combined, but she tried to control Jingyuan and failed, which made her lose her mind and the reason she lost. But that too actually originates from her genetics. As a parasite that feeds on negative emotions like fear, doubt, and betrayal, if a group of people stand united with unyielding resolve, she loses her power over them. She cannot corrupt a mind that refuses to doubt itself. Now, this flaw is exactly how General Jingyuan defeated her on the Luofu. During their final battle, Phantylia tried to break Jingyuan's spirit by capturing him and turning him into a monster. She expected him to give up in despair, but instead, Jingyuan showed unyielding resolve. He stayed calm, smiled, and willingly let himself be struck by Danheng, which shattered Ambrosial Arbor's grip from Phantylia's hand. In a nutshell, Phantylia's biggest weakness is her not able to manipulate someone. She's like a field version of Aizen and Johann, whose plans are absolute. Let's move on to the second Lord Ravager, Zephyro, the Searching Flail. He is one of the youngest Lord Ravager, but despite that, he is considered as the strongest Lord Ravager, the only Emanator who can fight Akron in 1v1. But unlike other Lord Ravagers, who creates and executes a plan or operates an army to cause destruction, Zephyro is a fearless warrior who focuses on straight head-on destruction. Now, that makes him look like an evil being, but in reality, out of all Lord Ravagers, he's the only one who grants him completely painless death to his victims. You can take Larky Dragoneel as an example. For his strength, he's a self-annihilator. and manipulates white holes, the physical opposites of black holes, which emit blinding white energy and matter rather than absorbing it. But despite being so feared and powerful, we got to know that his weakness is one of the primordial fears of a species. Asat told us that despite his combat prowess, he is afraid of dark and fierce, soulless entities often represented by the Black Sun. To understand this, we have to talk a little bit about soulless entities and Black Sun first. The term soulless doesn't mean walking Frankensteins. They are basically beings who are touched by nihility, because those who fall in it doesn't die. They lose their memories, their sense of touch, their physical form, and eventually their entire soul or identity until they are just walking hollow shells. Characters like Akron are a living example of this part. As for the term Black Sun, it's exactly what creates the soulless entities, the shadow of Ix, the aeon of nihility. It is an all-consuming cosmic void. When Ix's shadow casually passes over a star system, it creates a dark eclipse resembling like a black sun. But why does Zephyro exactly fears it? Well, Zephyro's entire identity revolves around white holes, blinding energy, and the vibrant, beautiful explosions of planetary destruction. Nihility is the exact opposite of that. It is an absolute black hole that swallows color, light, and purpose until nothing is left. To a warrior who thrives on the absolute peak of action and energy, a void that renders everything entirely meaningless is terrifying to them. In a nutshell, Zephyro's biggest weakness and fear is emanators of nihility, beings such as Akron. On to the next Ravager, we have Luxabane. Now, out of all Lord Ravagers, he's the most different, as he's an ancient Leviathan-like being who does not interact with any civilization. Instead, he takes over the star of the solar system and slowly eats it. Well, despite that slow method, he's tasked with destroying two paths. The only Lord Ravager to destroy two paths, that two for two of the four primordial aeons. The path of veracity and the path of permanence, both are currently aeonless, and Luxabane is working on eliminating them. And to be more precise, Luxabane's behavior directly mirrors and opposes Ouroboros the Veracity. While Ouroboros endlessly consumes worlds to satisfy an infinite hunger, Luxabane the Sun Devourer swallows the light of stars to plunge star system in an absolute entropy and darkness. Because both Ouroboros and Long are historically tied to the ancient Dusk Leviathans, Luxabane acts as a primal predatory counterforce designed to completely override whatever remains of their ancient path energy is left in the cosmos. Definitely the most terrific Lord Ravager, against whom 1v1 is totally futile. Asat told us that Luxabane operates like a beast, meaning he's easily distracted by baits rather than focus on strategic destruction. Now it sounds simple, but in reality he's stating that Luxabane does not hold any intelligence and he focuses on animal instincts. What does that mean? They are entirely driven by primal urge to seek out, chase and consume massive energy sources. Now, Luxabane is a creature of pure appetite. Opponents do not need to overpower them physically to stop them. They can simply be lured away. If a faction or civilization sets up intensely concentrated, massive artificial light or energy signature elsewhere in the galaxy, Luxabane will abandon their current target to chase the brighter bait. So despite being an unstoppable force of universal nature, a beast can be tamed easily who don't contain any prey. On to the next Lord Ravager, we have most beautiful and elegant Lord Ravager, Celenova. Born from the fallen emanator of harmony, Elenov, the aeon of destruction, Nanook personally descended upon and decimated her own planet. During this attack, Nanook defeated Elenov, a powerful cosmic manifestation and emanator of harmony. The only Lord Ravager whom Nanook personally chose and currently acting as his right-hand woman and the commander of Antimatter Legion. Celenova is smart, elegant, powerful and manipulative. She destroys civilizations and makes the remnants their troops. On paper, she looks flawless and someone who won't have any kind of weaknesses, but Asat told us that she dislikes pure harmonious or melodious things. Exposure to such beauty makes her restless and unsettled. Now to understand this, we have to look at her past. She belongs to a Harmony faction, a faction which lives in peace, and only leader representatives who are well known within the planet ascend as an emanator of harmony, meaning in her past life she would have been a beautiful lady who loved music, art and peace. But unlike other Lord Ravagers who are already broken before meeting Nanook, Celenova was forcefully corrupted by Nanook. Nanook's corruption forced her to hate the very thing she used to cherish. So seeing pure harmony actually triggers her memory to remember and miss her old life. The trauma psychologically breaks her and makes past her biggest weakness. Moving further, we have Archfoger. Serving as the architect and weaponsmith of the Antimatter Legion, he does not act on frontline. Instead, he uses the power of heat to forge matter and planets into weapons of extinction. It's been theorized as per his tagline that he's also responsible of creating White Rangers, cause his tagline states, ignite the war, forge and turn your enemies into White Rangers. Opposing the path of preservation and IPC's major target, there was almost zero intel about his existence. Thanks to Herta and Skrulam, IPC got to even know about his existence. But despite having such huge amount of aura, Asat told us that he suffers from intense social anxiety and a fear of appearing before others, acting more like a recursive, rational intellectual. Now, this might actually be surprising to find out that a Lord Ravager is a nerd who is afraid of being seen. And that too might be the reason why IPC didn't know about their existence till this point. But this comes down to a conclusion that defeating Archfoger would actually be the easiest out of all other Lord Ravagers. Moving to Irontomb, the funeral of nerves. His weakness is hard to counter, but does it really matter? Cause he's already dead, so let's move on to the next one. Finally, on to the last, but not the least, Asat Pramad. The Lord Ravager who was tasked to destroy Elation, his power was to manipulate misfortune and probabilities. His biggest weakness was his curious, unpredictable mind. He cares more about what could than what will. He himself is his biggest enemy. He can't resist changing possibilities and sabotaging his own long-term plans, which ties to his nature as maskful en route. But finally, we do have one question at this point. After learning about the weaknesses of all Lord Ravagers, it feels like that all Lord Ravagers' weakness is tied to their past and memories. Like, they're not physically weak, but everyone has some kind of past trauma which harness over their destructive nature. This might actually be a way for us to defeat future Lord Ravagers as well. Well, what'll happen isn't something we can say, but if you have watched till this point, then you might subscribe to my channel as I create low dedicated content about Honkai Star Rail. If you do enjoy HSR low content, then definitely you'll like my content, and hitting the subscribe button wouldn't hurt your finger either. Well, wishing you good morning, evening, afternoon or night, choose as per your current time. Bye bye.